Hello. I'm just setting it up. Hey, Carly. Hey, Anig. I am just getting organized here. I'm also going to set up here. Nadira, hi. All right. So just, and Shari, hi. And I just started Instagram Live. Hi. Lovely to see you. There may be some more people popping on as we get started. So nice to see your faces, if you haven't seen in some time. So for this evening, for those in Australia, the way that this session will run, and we might go for a little longer today, for maybe about 45 minutes, but if you do need to leave half an hour, that's fine. We will be starting with a short meditation, just by way of arriving and starting together. Hey, Kate. And then we'll have a sharing circle for 20-25 minutes. And there'll be some guiding questions for all of us to contemplate and to share. And I'll provide a little bit more guidance around how we might share in this kind of online platform together to facilitate that. And then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes of chanting and singing together to close. So as we get started, you're welcome to arrange your body in a position that feels as supported as you can. And that could be seated, it could be lying down. And your eyes could be open or closed. And if you like, taking a moment to tune into the sounds that you can hear around you. And awakening your sense of hearing. And this is one way that you can let yourself and your body know where you are, so by the sounds that you can hear. Allowing your attention to move from one sound to the next without any judgment or any analyzing. Inviting your body and your mind to arrive in the here and now. And as you feel ready, turning your attention to notice where your body is in connection with the surface beneath you. If you like, that could involve a little bit of movement or rocking. Sensing and feeling the connection of your body to the ground beneath you. This is another way that you can let your body and yourself know where you are in this present moment. Maybe arriving with a little more of yourself, a little more awareness. And then you're invited to take your attention towards your body and maybe scanning through your body and noticing where you might be feeling any sensations of tension or discomfort. Maybe sensations of fear or anxiety. Uncertainty. So first noticing where these any feelings or sensations of activation or discomfort might be showing up in your body, if there are any in this moment. And this is a way of honoring and acknowledging what is present in you right in this moment, with a sense of self-kindness, noticing and acknowledging and honoring these sensations or feelings. And even just for the moment, allowing them to be here. And then you might turn your attention to notice any sensations or feelings that you might be feeling in your body of pleasure or comfort or ease. Any sensations that might be pleasant or emotions that might be joyful or positive. They may or may not be present, but turning your attention to scan through your inner experience, maybe noticing something. It might be subtle, it might be even the way your hand is resting on your lap, as an example. It might be a sense of ease or comfort. Maybe noticing any shifts in your body, maybe noticing no shifts. You might become aware that it's possible to feel and hold multiple experiences in our bodies at the same time. In some areas of our body or experience, there might be sensations of discomfort, tension, or uncertainty. And in other areas, there may be feelings of ease or comfort or pleasure. And by moving attention between both and holding both at the same time, there's the opportunity to be with the fullness of our own experience and to honor and welcome our whole selves here in this present moment. And as you're ready, welcome to open your eyes if they're not already open. And take a moment to transition into our shared space together. So welcome. There's been a few more people join online during the meditation and also on Instagram Live. So I'll just let you know that we have the Zoom call running. Hi to those who are on Zoom. And for those who are on Zoom, there's of course the opportunity to share using your voice or using the chat box. And if you haven't used Zoom before or not so familiar, if you take your cursor down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a box that says chat, an icon that says chat. So you're welcome to use that if you prefer to type instead of using your voice. For those who are on Instagram Live, hi, you have the opportunity here to type in if you wanted to share live. For those who might be watching on Facebook Live, I unfortunately don't have the capacity to run all three at the same time when I have Zoom running as well. So there's not so much capacity for you to share live in that platforms, but you are welcome to join one of the other ones if you do want to participate in the sharing. So we'll take about 20-25 minutes. Let's see how we go, for some sharings. And the first question or the first reflection is really, how are you feeling at this moment? And oh, I can see Huxley there. So big now. I got so distracted. Huxley is the human whose birth I was first ever at. So very special human, dear to my heart. So yes, in the sharing, so the meditation is also really setting up to touch into what you might be feeling and really hold and honor that possible complexity of that at the same time. And that we have the opportunity as we're sharing here to share as honestly and authentically as you would like to, also as that practice of honoring and as a practice of deep listening for ourselves and for each other. So I'll open it up for that first question. If you feel to share how you're feeling, you're welcome to type it in. You're welcome, if you're on Zoom, to unmute yourself and use your voice to share.
I'll be brave. Hello. Oh, do we? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if you could hear me.
Yeah. And if you wanted to, as you're sharing, or if you're sharing, if you felt like sharing your name and where you are at the moment, that might be nice too.
Sure. My name is Anik, and I'm in Brisbane, and I'm so happy to see your face and so happy we're going to be chatting. So that actually is part of how I'm feeling, definitely. But I'm feeling so many things, actually. I've just moved to Brisbane, and it's just been the most crazy, good, and intense with everything going on at the moment, 3 months. And yeah, at the same time as feeling like hugely overwhelmed from being on the other side of the world from my family while all this stuff is going on. And being in shutdown with my kids and I am still at the same time have started new work and started like just exploring, when I was allowed out, I was exploring the new city I was living in and meeting new people. And yeah, so it's just been this humongous amount of change, but all of it so exciting, but at the same time so conflicted with everything else that's going on in the world. I have a child walking into the room. Can you shut the door? Okay, here. She's coming to say hi. Here's one. Yeah. Could you shut the door when you go out, please? Thank you. But yeah, so it's just like almost overwhelming, but at the same time, so exciting, as I've been home for 10 years with children that have special needs. So being able to step out into work and do things like that is just feels like such a huge rush of energy. But at the same time, with this overlying concern for the state of the world, So yeah.
Thank you. It does sound like a lot to hold. And shout out to all the moms and parents, and yeah, especially at home. Yeah, for those who are in a.
But I'm very excited to be in this space because actually I've moved away from my yoga classes and have really not had time to practice so much or teach or anything. So to like find these opportunities where so many people are coming online, where I'm like, oh, I get to do yoga, in a familiar place, just has such a nice, really like grounding and just heartwarming feeling to be able to feel safe in that again, outside of all the huge export of energy that's going on and all the craziness, to be able to share in that space of coming back to that sort of quiet and meditative space. So I'm very
Beautiful. Yeah, there are so many opportunities, even amidst the challenges that we're all facing.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, so nice to see you.
And I can't wait for chanting. I'm excited.
And I might just share, there's a couple of people writing in on Instagram, so I'll just share um, some of the responses that are coming in. So someone says here, I am feeling the same overwhelmingness of the well-being of the world. It's been 2 weeks of no work for me. So I'm feeling the worry and anxiety that comes with not earning what I'm used to, but grateful and connected. I know there were some people with Instagram, it kind of scrolls through, so then they disappear. But some people had mentioned before, maybe feeling tired and a little bit overwhelmed or anxious. Yeah. Anybody?
Hi,
Yeah.
Melvin. Hi, Mei Lai. I'm feeling relieved that I'm here with all of you because it's such a beautiful highlight of my day and I feel grounded and it's something I really look forward to. So it's a very special time, and being in self-isolation, I treasure each moment outdoors, seeing the greenery of the grass, the trees, and I feel that there's a lot more connectedness between people walking by. I think people are wanting to connect because they have been so isolated. So perhaps people are being a bit more present and more still. So I feel that there is more kindness out there from afar. So I think makes it really special to be able to connect with people because I live by myself and that's the only opportunity I have to actually connect with someone, not by technology but in the real world. So but this online community is very beautiful and special. So that's how I'm feeling. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I am so grateful for the community that we have here and that we can come together online and spread that out a little further. Yeah. I also have been feeling for the people like you, Kate, who are sort of by yourself in a home without any other humans around potentially. So yeah, but I love how you share too the appreciation that you have for the smaller things and those small moments.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. There's another little comment coming in here on Instagram from Fierce Calm Haley saying we are all one, which is such a beautiful reminder how deeply connected we are.
I'm Andy. I'm on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. Hi. And I've got this really strange experience of confusion. I had to stop working several years ago with a chronic illness, and I've always been projecting back into re-entering the world, and now it feels like the world has rolled backwards to living in a way that I've had to live for some time, and it is genuinely confusing. It's I think I'm having trouble understanding the scale of what's happening, even though I'm pretty connected through the news and on Twitter and everywhere. But yeah, it's so yeah, I think confusion is reigning at the moment. And then oscillating emotions connected to that. So moments of calm and bliss and thankfulness, and then moments of concern and worry and anxiety. Yeah, it's a kaleidoscope.
That is a good word for it. It seems to be, I mean, I know I've had that experience of my emotions shifting almost as rapidly as the situation has been. And I think, with things moving so quickly, it's such a normal response to feel that sense of confusion and upheaval as well, just in how quickly kind of broader paradigm can shift.
Mm.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy, for sharing. Yeah.
There's definitely a surrealness. I feel. By the way, hi, I'm Carly. And I find myself again like moving through that almost like a roller coaster. But already I'm noticing things that I took for granted before all of this, and things that I'll never ever take for granted ever again. And a connectedness with people who have had various disadvantages on a whole bunch of different scales, and feeling there's a collectiveness. And I've personally kind of experienced more of a connectedness with my local community through this than I ever have, having lived where I've lived for 8 years. And I'm finding that the communities around the world on a global scale, as well as a very localized level, are really coming together and uniting in a way that I don't think we've seen before. And so I've got a lot of great gratitude for that as well.
Yeah, it really has shifted it from global to local, even with the travel and those possibilities. And I've seen so many beautiful, I joined recently, there's a Facebook group called The Kindness Pandemic, which is so sweet. I think, yeah, some of you are nodding, you've been on there and seen it. And yeah, it's people sharing all of these beautiful little kindnesses, particularly from their neighbors and people that they meet on the street. This is so sweet. Yeah. Thank you. I can see also there's a request here from Sally, hi, on Instagram. So I'm just going to pop her on there. I haven't done this before, so let's see how it works. Just waiting for it to pop up. You'll be able to hear. Hey, Sally.
Hi, Mel. How are you? Thank you. This is wonderful. Thank you. I didn't know that you could do this on Instagram, but thank you. It's just the point that I was making was just that beyond the COVID-19 and the coronavirus, I just know so many people that are going through trauma. They've got like awful news in recent times, and there's a lot of grief there, and it seems to be layer upon layer. So yeah, and it's you can't hug people. You've got to sort of virtually hug people at the moment.
Yeah, it's so true. Were you able, I'm just checking, that's for those who are on Zoom, were you able to hear as well? Yeah, amazing technology, amazing. Yeah, just the amount of grief and how instinctive it is, I think, to reach out and hug someone and not to be able to do that. Yeah.
But I've got to say, things like this are just awesome, and there's so many opportunities for it. So it's really great. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sally. I'm going to pop you off now. I think if I can work out how to do this, I'm pressing the X. There we go. Thank you. All right. Anybody else like to share how you're feeling? I think, is that Anna? We can't hear you. I can see that you're not on mute, so you've unmuted yourself, but for some reason there's no sound coming through. You're welcome to chat. Yeah, you're going to try it again. Yeah, you could also pop it in the chat box if you'd like. No, we still can't hear you.
Hello?
Ah, there we go.
It's my headphones. I'm just feeling this contradiction between feeling quite isolated. I was missing human touch today, even just hugs, and also feeling so connected to everyone that is experiencing this and has had their own story. I've had so many friends I just know how so many people are affected differently, and just feeling connected. We're all in this together, but also isolated. It's this weird paradox. It's kind of, yeah, it's where I'm at.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and making that point too. It does seem like such a paradox, doesn't it? And that's one of the reasons when I was sort of reflecting on, what we could talk about out of this. On the one hand, it really is acknowledging all of the conflicting feelings that we might be experiencing in the moment, and also, being honest with what our concerns or fears or worries are, and also looking at the possibilities there, because on the one hand there is the isolation, on the other hand there is this deep connection that's emerging, and I've definitely been feeling that as well. And yeah, thank you for naming that too and sharing. So I wonder, I'm just keeping a little eye on time. And you're welcome, of course, if you want to share, you're welcome to share on anything at all, and suggest questions or just guidelines. But perhaps we could spend a little bit of time if you did want to share, anything that you're really concerned about, or have fears or worries about. And they might be personal, they might be broader. I know for me, it's a real reality. I've really been feeling for all of the health workers. And also really, sort of feeling for all of the people who are not as well resourced as, many of us might be, and in a way feeling a little bit powerless or a little bit helpless, and feeling the magnitude of that. So there, some of the concerns that I've personally been sitting with. Yeah, if you felt to share around that, you're welcome to.
I've been feeling quite concerned. I'm not sure if that's the right word or the right emotion to describe that, but just really feeling for those where home isn't safe, and for those whose home doesn't look like a roof and four walls, and really feeling for the most vulnerable in our community, and also feeling for those in our community who are from diverse backgrounds and may be affected by a potential increase in xenophobic or racism, and who are the victim of others, misguided anger or frustration. So I really feel for those who are on the fringe of society, when things are kind of normal, and are even more vulnerable during this time, and maybe having increasing barriers or difficulties accessing the support that they need.
Yeah, and I also know, because I've been supporting the space, the community sector a little bit in this past week, that many organizations who usually support those because of funding structures and changing circumstances are actually also not able to provide the support that is needed. Yeah, it'd be great to put a lot of pressure on the government to step in and provide some more support for organizations, as much as they're supporting businesses as well. Yeah, thank you, Carly. I'm seeing a little note pop up here from Jessie on Instagram too. Yeah, I totally agree. It reminds me to be grateful for how privileged I am to be safe and have resources to cope. Yeah, and to see what we can do from our homes if we're not able to go out and specifically support people in person.
I just also want to recognize that family violence can imagine that it's much worse with people being more stressed and at home more. So people who have experienced that, just really feeling for them and feeling so helpless already, but this is even worse. So it's, yeah, just acknowledging that and trying to sit with it, but not being able to do anything, it feels.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's not been so much media coverage around these kinds of issues either. You know, it's easy to say stay at home and be with your family at this time and slow down, but it's not a reality for many people, and those challenges are, yeah, they're ramping up a little bit.
I'm also feeling a bit fearful for people who already have really strong associations with staying at home and like maybe, you know, for whatever reason, I think somebody mentioned before, from having illness or like from having like maybe like self-banishing tendencies or those kind of things. So yeah, just sending a lot of love for the people who might have like a resurge in all of the things that staying home for long periods of time and not going out and socializing. Yeah. Hoping that they're able to keep stepping forward and not slip back into with the waves of those old associations, perhaps.
Yeah, the isolation's already such a challenge for so many. Thank you too. Quite specific from Bridie. Hi. Quite specific, but today I thought about all the people in refugee camps for whom social distancing is not an option, and the pain and fear they must be in just waiting for this to sweep through. Yeah, that it's one thing if we're able to isolate, but for those who are not able to, it's a different thing altogether. Maybe one more. I feel like these are such important conversations to be having. And, maybe at some point we can brainstorm together, you know, what we might be able to do. Someone else is saying, so true, Ria. Hi, in Manila in the Philippines. This inability to self-isolate is very real in Manila. And there are areas with no running water, so hygiene is a challenge too. I really hope it's like as I'm hearing you all speak and share, I can feel my heart. It's like aching bigger, like aching more open. And I know one of the things that I am really interested in is that, you know, the capacities of our hearts to be wide and to hold, you know, to hold the suffering as much as to hold the joy. That, you know, and that so much of the embodied work that we do is in service of that. It's not just about feeling good, but actually increasing our capacity to feel, you know, the whole range of human emotions and human experiences. And so that, and for me anyway, because I'm so interested in action and engagement and social change, that, you know, there's the capacity to feel all of that and then to find the ways forward with strategic, heartfelt action too. And maybe that's a nice little segue into the last little bit of the sharing circle for today around what are you hopeful for, or if in that, you know, you have any ideas for actions that what we might be able to do individually or together for some of these fears or concerns that we might have. Really welcome to share, because as much as it's important to share and to feel the challenging emotions and feelings and concerns, that we equally make space for what is working well and what is feeling good in our bodies and in connection. So what are you hopeful for, or what ideas do you have?
Hi, it's Kate again. I'm fortunate to have a job and to be working remotely. So I have offered to teach a yoga meditation class to my 200 odd colleagues this coming Friday, and I hope that that will be helpful and beneficial. And I guess in terms of hope, I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I do feel some positivity, and I think there will be more kindness and compassion and hopefully some understanding, because for some people, unless they've lived through a traumatic experience or have suffered, they just can't relate, they can't empathize. So I feel that having, with the whole population going through this, it'll make them more compassionate. So I'm hopeful for a more compassionate society.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, it's Larissa.
Hey,
Hey. I think I'm really hopeful that we'll all continue to seek out new ways of connecting, because I think that we've had to throw out sort of all of the ways that connection has been happening in the past. And it's, I mean, I'm during this time, I'm really finding that in many ways I've never felt so connected to so many different people, that I haven't had this chance to really spend time with before. And I'm just really hopeful that we just learn through these new ways of relating to each other.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. I shared that today too. It's just like, wow, I feel so connected, because it's kind of making us reach out beyond, the people that we're immediately with, or check in on people that we maybe haven't seen for some time, and find these different ways of connection. So beautiful. And I saw a little note here in the chat box from Shari. Thank you. I'm hopeful for a positive reset that this crisis will bring. I totally relate with Kate sharing as well. Yeah, I'm really hopeful for that. I really feel like, wow, there's such an opportunity here, sort of as, one kind of world order is disintegrating really quickly. How can we make use of that? And really step in and step up so that it doesn't go back to the status quo kind of as soon as it's passed. And I think, some things won't, may never be the same again, but, it's easy to, the behemoths of, the systems and our institutions and governments are slower to act. So I also feel like here's an opportunity that we have to take the opportunities that are here and to work with them as best as we can. Here, and also Bridie shares, I'm hopeful for a wider knowing of just how interdependent we are, and that big positive change is possible. Yeah. Thank you.
I feel along those lines as well, that I'm so really hopeful and grateful for this opportunity, that we recognize really that the earth is our mother, and it's that we can't ignore it. We're pushed to the point where we can't, or where the greater community, and like you said, the powers that be can't ignore. That this is our home. And if she decides she doesn't want us here anymore, she can, that's her choice. So we have to respect, our planet and our, So there is a sense of hope almost, that it is just the last wake-up call that people need.
Yeah, and it's so true. Kate, you were sharing before about that appreciation, when you do have these little moments outside, this appreciation for nature, even, the grass and a bird flying past the window and the sound, that, it's often when we have that taken away from us that we appreciate it so much more and recognize how much we really need it. We need our mother. Yeah, thank you. So again, I'm just aware of time and taking a little bit of time to sing together. My intention, thank you so much for everybody who has, shared and contributed, even just with your presence. I'm anticipating, I think it would be nice if we, have one of these once a week for some more time for sharing. Would be really lovely, so we can continue these conversations and see where we can take them. But for now, let's sing a little bit together. I've got my harmonium. And I'm gonna slide back a little bit. So a couple of simple chants, and really singing and chanting together, even though unfortunately we won't be able to hear each other because the technology doesn't really allow for it. So you'll be able to hear me and sing along in the space that you're in. But this is really singing together is really one of the ways that we can support that restoration of our nervous systems and help to really sort of move away from stress and anxiety and find a little bit more calm and connection. And for me, really working with voice and chanting and bhakti is really, kind of a direct doorway to the heart as well. So you're welcome to sing along. The words are really simple. Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And you can join in whenever you like. I'm really happy to sing one more if you would like. Also, in respect of time, if you do need to go, you're really welcome to go. You're also welcome to stay and sing along. I'll sing to Shiva in the form of Arunachala. Shiva, one of the representations of Shiva. One is the force of transformation that we sometimes call destruction, but actually in the understanding of life as being cyclical, that it's not actually a destruction and that's the end, but it's actually a process of transformation and renewal. So as one structure dissolves, that makes way for a new structure to be born. And another representation of Shiva is also as the great formlessness that everything emerges out of and dissolves back to in time. And it's this, in the tantric tradition, it's really understood not as emptiness and nothingness, but actually this scintillating, pulsing consciousness that is the source of everything, that is the source even of all of the suffering and change that's happening in the world. So we can chant to Shiva in the form of Arunachala. There was a dispute between the gods, and to solve the dispute, Shiva turned himself into a giant column of light. And but the light was too bedazzling to look at, and so as a blessing and as an offering for humanity, Shiva turned himself as the column of light into a mountain called Arunachala in the south of India. It's a very holy, sacred place, a place of pilgrimage and awakening. So, Om Arunachala, Om are the words Arunachala and then Shiva. That's these three words in it. And maybe a little section too of Om Namah Shivaya, which really just means I bow to Shiva. I bow to myself and that great consciousness. you so much for joining in all the ways that you've joined, with your presence, your voices, your words. The music fill our hearts. And through that, a deep sense of connectedness as well. And I'm so grateful to be here with you all. So thank you so much. And these sessions, they will continue. I'm taking a little break over the weekend. I've got a big project that I'm working on, and I'm going to take a little break from some screen time. But we'll start again on Monday. So the times are, some of the new times for early next week are up on the website, the Yoga for Humankind website. And thank you so much for joining in this conversation. And I look forward to continuing it. Hope to see you soon. Much love and blessings over the weekend. Take good care. I'll see you soon.